All right, welcome everyone to the last webinar of the challenge, and welcome all the current clients, even if you're not doing a Health Gains Challenge right now. We're just glad that everyone's joined us. We have lots of clients and health coaches and health professionals that hop on these webinars, and we love to talk about the habits of health each week. So we just wanted to give a big welcome to everybody who's joining us. And this week's topic, we're talking about be a mindful thinker. And there's so many different aspects to this topic, and hopefully we can just hit on a few of them tonight and give you some food for thought, right, for your mind, to help you with your long-term success. Okay, so just to start off, hosting tonight is David Bush and myself, Amber Smithson. Give a shout out, David.
Woo woo! Glad everybody could make it tonight.
Awesome. And, I just wanted to start off with my story, and then I'm going to throw it over to David to talk about our first topic. But, I lost about 35 pounds about 12 years ago now. I have a 12-year-old, and it was about right after him that I lost my weight. And I've been involved with Take Shape for Life for the last 7 years. And I'll tell you what, I would say the biggest value that I've received being a part of Take Shape for Life has been the healthy mind piece, because we like to focus on the trilogy of optimal health, which is healthy body, healthy mind, and healthy finances. And even though, I've improved so much in my healthy body and healthy finances, really the healthy mind is probably the thing that's most near and dear to my heart. There was a time where whenever I was stressed out or having a bad day, the first thing I would do is go to the cupboard and open it up and probably eat, I would say, maybe 5 handfuls of goldfish crackers or bread or whatever easy carbs that were at my fingertips. And I never even thought about it. I never thought that was not a constructive way to handle my stress or a good thing to do. I never even thought about it. I didn't think about the way I thought. And I want to give everybody on here just a little bit of hope that now when I get stressed out, it literally doesn't even make sense to me to go eat goldfish crackers. Like it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't come into my brain other than I can remember when I used to do that. For me, I want to grab a big glass of water. I want to take some deep breaths. I want to, there's all these different things that are my automatic trigger. And that's really what the habits of health are about. It's about making things more automatic and about really helping your brain to not have so much to think about. If you can make these habits and some of these things we're going to teach you on the webinar tonight, your automatic response, and it doesn't happen overnight. I'll tell you that. You got to give yourself some time. But that's really what we want to help you create. So David, take it away.
That's great. Thanks, Amber, for sharing your story. And I think you're so right. That picture you were showing to me was 7 years ago. I lost 100 pounds, and it was from a challenge from a friend that got me started. But what kept me going was this idea of having to learn more, to become more, to achieve more. And hopefully everybody that's been a part of the challenge has realized that this is so much more than just a challenge. This is the idea of you saying, you know what, I'm going to take control of my health, and I'm not going to allow not winning in a challenge or falling short on points or something like that slow me down from where I'm going. A lot of you haven't made your goal. A lot of you are just, kind of finishing, and you're kind of frustrated in where you're at, and maybe life has just completely blasted you. We use this acronym, just kind of taking those different words like bored, lonely, angry, sad, tired, eager, and distressed. You might be at a point where, you're 7 for 7. Life just sucks for you right now. You're burned out, you're depressed, you're failing. Somebody's, relationships are sideways. Maybe you lost your job, and you're, just at a point where you're just really questioning, where you're at in life. But in your world, you can take those and you can run to the fridge, you can run to the, the frosting and just eat the whole can. And that's not going to get you where you want to go. That's not going to give you a thriving life that's fulfilled and successful. What's going to really get you to where you want to go is to stop and challenge this idea that I'm going to go out there and give up, or that I'm going to go back to those old ways of the way that I used to live. or maybe what I'm currently wanting to do right now. I saw a quote the other day, Amber, that said, to get to where you want to go, you don't get to do what you want to do. You have to do some things that are maybe challenging, that are uncomfortable, that have to push you to get to the point where you say, you know what, this is not necessarily what I want right now. I want that, ice cream fudge sundae or whatever it is that you're running to when you're bored or you're lonely, you're angry or you're sad. But you know what? I'm going to challenge that thought process, because that's not what I really want for my future. What I want is I want to be fulfilled. I want to have a life filled with significance and success. And I don't want to go back down this path that I've been down before. And, as we finish up the challenge here, I hope that, we're giving you some hope, regardless of where you are with your points, regardless of where you are with your weight loss. Some of you are so focused on the scale that as soon as that scale number hits the number that you want, you're going to go back to your old ways. And we don't want you to do that, because that's not why we invited you into this challenge. We wanted you to take shape for life. We wanted you to really understand that this is about living a healthier lifestyle in all areas of the trilogy. And hopefully you have connected with your coach to work through some of the different strategies or issues that you're working on right now in your life. If you haven't had a chance to go through the well-being evaluation to really help to kind of identify what your current reality is, and you haven't had a chance to really talk through what does an action plan look like for after the challenge, I would highly encourage you to do so. Here's a couple of quick stress relief tips that we share in our health coaching program. De-stress your job. Maybe you're in a situation where you've got a problem behind the problem. If you're constantly stressed out because your boss is yelling at you or is making high demands that you can't pull off, you cannot be a good mom and work for this person. You can't, or a good dad. Then that may require you to have to make a tough shift, and you may have to look for a new work. But I can tell you from the testimonials of people that I've talked to, they have stepped into a better life when they have given up something that they had to do, and they went out there and they found what they really wanted to do. Exercise, it lowers inflammatory state, it counteracts stress, and it lowers your CRP levels, which is basically a way of saying exercise helps you to de-stress your life. But meanwhile, you think that exercise is a time commitment. You don't have time to do it. But remember, it's not a time issue. It's always a value and a priority issue. And if you put value and priority on exercise, you will be less stressful. Socialize, get out and hang out with people that you enjoy. This is one of the most challenging things for people to do. But when you think about the 5 people that you spend the most time with, if you were just to think about those 5 people that just surrounded your life, are those people that bring you joy, health, significance, success, healthy habits? Or if they're not, you may need to partner up with other people and seek out a community. That's why most people become health coaches with Take Shape for Life. It's not because we're looking for more things to do in a day. We're oftentimes busy people who are looking for a place that we can plug in and be healthier and learn about how to get healthier. Another area could just be the idea of going outdoors and getting a good hike in or getting a good walk. Some of you are in a space where, maybe you're in tight quarters and you're in downtown Chicago, and going outside maybe is a little bit stressful for you. Find that place that you can go. Maybe it's getting out of the city for a little while. Or maybe it's the idea of treating yourself to a massage and really giving yourself a little bit of a pampering, at the end of a challenge as a reward for not losing the weight, but maybe the idea of just plugging in for 6 weeks and going to work on yourself. You might have to rent a good movie. My son watched Prime. We have Prime membership, and he watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I was just laughing when Ferris Bueller was dancing on that float. Man, I tell you, some of you haven't seen that movie, but my son's watched it 6 times, and what makes me laugh is him laughing.
That's totally on my watch list, David. Like I thought.
Shaggy the baby now, Shaggy the baby. I was singing it. It's all right. The other thing is just focus on the positive, going through, just doing a gratitude check as you finish up the challenge. You may be totally blasted in every area of your life, but if you look at a third world country, you've been blessed, brother. You've been blessed. So don't think about all the things you don't have or that you can't get accomplished or the things you didn't get accomplished, but focus on the things that you have in your life that are really bringing a blessing. And the other thing is just deep breathing. We use that in the challenge where we have you do those 10 deep breaths. You might have to do a little phone app search for deep breathing exercises as we navigate outside the challenges. But breathing is where it's at. And it's oftentimes just that time of stopping and being mindful, challenging your choices that you have in terms of going off the rails and being frustrated, or choosing to make a healthy choice. So I'm so excited that you guys finished up this challenge with us, and I'm going to kick it back over to Amber for the next section.
Awesome, David. Those are some really great tips. I just love it every time that David shares, because he does such a great job of just summarizing things, and I love all those tips. So I want to give a little information about our brains, okay? Our brains are such interesting machines, and the way that I like to explain it is it's a two-part brain. And do you ever feel like that you are arguing with yourself in your head? I know that I've done that before. It's like, no, I want a piece of cake. No, wait, I want to be healthy. Or, you're kind of arguing with yourself and you're like, why do I do that? And the reading in the challenge was actually about this on Monday. And so we're going to delve just a little bit more into it. So you have two parts of your brain. You have your limbic brain, and you have your limbic brain back here and your prefrontal cortex. And basically, sometimes they're at odds with each other. And sometimes people will say, oh, it's like the angel on your shoulder and the devil on your shoulder. But I say it's not like that at all. In fact, both parts of your brain are so helpful. So your limbic brain, I call it our friend. Okay, this is your animal instincts and your emotions. If you didn't have the limbic part of your brain, it's kind of like fight or flight and survival. It tells you to eat food and to seek safety and intimacy. These are just like primal instincts that you have. Without the limbic part of your brain, like, humankind would cease to exist. People wouldn't care about eating, and then they would starve to death. They'd be like, tiger, whatevs, and then they would die, or they wouldn't procreate the earth. They'd just be like, whatevs, I mean, babies, whatever, So this part of our brain, it's so important. We should just be grateful that we have our limbic system. And so a lot of times, though, the limbic system, its a prime directive is to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and change, by the way, because change is very scary. It doesn't have morals. It's very impulsive. It'll say anything to protect you. It's kind of like if you think about a tiger, it doesn't feel guilty for hunting and killing its prey. It literally says, hungry, food, kill. And that's how our limbic brain is. So a lot of times the limbic brain will tell you, eat everything, eat a lot of it, and seek things that are high fat, high sugar, high salt, that are going to get you through the famine, because you never know when you're ever going to eat again. So you better hurry up. So it's trying to protect you. But in our, first world country, civilized society, and you go to your refrigerator and open it up, as Dr. A says in his Habits of Health book, you have a 100% chance of bagging some food, right? There's going to be some food in your kitchen. And so sometimes it's not helpful to have a portion of our brain that says, eat everything you see and eat a lot of it and hurry up. So that's kind of just a little synopsis of your limbic brain. And then there's the prefrontal cortex. So this is the part of your brain that's more logical. That's the part of your brain that has goals, that says, I want to be healthy and I want good things in my life. I want to be able to run up the stairs without being winded, and I want to be able to ride bikes with my kids or grandkids. It makes long-term plans. It says, I want to save my money so that I can put a down payment on a house. It's more mindful. And the cool thing, though, is your prefrontal cortex is in charge ultimately. The power to move and to do, it comes from your prefrontal cortex. Your limbic part of your brain can't make you pick a spoon up and put it in your mouth and chew. That has to go through your prefrontal cortex. Everything goes through the logic brain. So it's free will or free won't. You ultimately make the decision of what happens. But I love how David brought up stop, challenge, choose, because this is where you come at odds. The two parts of your brain are maybe arguing just a little bit or leading you in different directions, and then you stop. And then you listen, you go, where's that thought coming from? Is that coming from my limbic brain, or is that coming from my prefrontal cortex? So you challenge that idea, and you don't say one's bad or one's good. You just say, those are the thoughts that I have. And then you choose what best will serve you in the long run. So like I said, that's why we feel crazy sometimes. And just because you hear it in your head, it doesn't mean it's true. I used to think everything I thought was true. I would think, oh my goodness, if I didn't eat that food, then, my mother-in-law, she's going to hate me. Or you have these thoughts that just like pop up. And it's so important to just listen to that without judgment. And, because your limbic brain, it wants to keep the status quo. So I put this picture of a dirt road, and you see those big old grooves in the dirt road. And have you ever been like driving an ATV or whatever, you're kind of mudding? I don't know, I grew up with ATVs and stuff. And if you're following behind someone and you're in their grooves, then it's pretty easy. Like you can kind of go on autopilot, you're just driving in the grooves. But if you want to go off on a new direction, first off, it's hard to get out of the grooves, right? You kind of have to like, over the hump and start your own grooves. So it can be difficult. And then if you want to make some new grooves, you got to go over that road many times. They're not just going to happen the first time you go over that road. So the same is true when we are making changes in our life. That when you first start something new, it's not automatic yet. You're not in the grooves. And a lot of times you're kind of right at the hump where you're trying to get out of your old grooves. And your limbic brain is screaming at you because it wants to keep the status quo. It does not want you to change. And another bullet point, it knows where you're sensitive. It knows you because it's part of you. So that's just a couple of thoughts on that. But before I go to the next slide, I wanted to bring Stephanie Gulka on to just give us a few thoughts from her personal experience.
It's really interesting because as soon as I think I have all my brains figured out, I got my grooves set in there and stuff, sometimes life, I would guess it would be with this analogy, a big storm comes. And for me, it feels like it washed out the grooves, right? In that picture that you have up there of the dirt. And it's hard. And I'll tell you the only thing, so I've been a coach for almost a decade. And, I think, okay, I have this down. I know it. And then just 2 weeks ago, I got kind of side blinded with some medical stuff that happened to a close family friend. And I found myself, I guess, just in all that mud, you know what I mean? And I was like, where are my grooves? Where, what can I do? And as soon as I, just started to breathe, like David was saying earlier, just that breath, and surrounding myself with people who are in the grooves. I mean, and that's the beautiful thing, right? Make sure you have a community of people who are conscious about health. And because what will happen at any given time, a couple of you will be driving the tractor that has the plow, right? And you'll be going great. And maybe some of us behind are in those little dune buggy thingamajiggers and, going off course as I knock over a drink and everything else on my desk. But it's true. And so I encourage you guys, first of all, give yourselves a huge pat on the back for making it through this challenge. You're already showing that, you're a groove maker and you're following in your coach's grooves and stuff. So that's fantastic. And man, to the degree that you can in everyday life, surround yourself with people who have a better handle on their brains. So
awesome, Steph. I love that. Thanks for sharing that. I think that I love your transparency that, yeah, even health coaches, we're not perfect. But it's so cool that we can be part of a community of people who have similar goals. So that, sometimes maybe Stephanie's the strong one and I'm the one dying in the back on my bed, and Stephanie's going to put her arm around me and help me to the next stage, and that's what it's really about. So I want to give you guys just a couple of examples before I throw it over to Kat Fuller. And so here's your logic brain with eating. The logic brain says, I have health goals and I look at the big picture with my choices. I'm going to eat some salad and no thanks on the candy. But your limbic brain is like, eat all the food now in case of famine. If I don't eat that candy, I may die. Or last chance, hurry. You're never going to have, the candy corn. It's only during October or whatever. Or one dessert won't matter. Come on. It's a special occasion. Or you might offend the host. I said that one earlier. That's a big one. Maybe you're starting a new business and your logic brain's like, I need to get the word out. I need to find who needs me and build my business, accomplish my goals. Look at this guy down here. He's on his phone. He's happy. Or the limbic brain is like, I'm too shy to do anything. Or I can't be successful at a business. Who am I? Who do I think I am starting something new? Or, oh no, my house is too dirty. I couldn't possibly. So the two brains fight against. And then the last example I wanted to share was exercise. So the logic brain's like, this is healthy for me. It's going to help me reach my goals. And the limbic brain's like, I'm too busy. It hurts too much. It wants to avoid pain. Oh, my dog threw up. Dang it, can't go to the gym. Or here's one. It's not always, sometimes it's good excuses that your limbic brain comes up with because it knows where to get you. And it's like, you could be spending time with your family. Who do you think you are working on your own self? And, so your limbic brain will say anything to keep the status quo. So just before I pass it back, I just want to encourage you to be a peaceful warrior. So a lot of times when we have something, we'll get that thought, oh, I don't want to exercise. We'll be like, what's wrong with you? Why do I always think that way? Or, oh, I ate that whatever food and I just can't believe, I can't do this. I'm just terrible. And you're all these things you're fighting against your limbic brain. But my friend Gordon Bruin, who is an expert on addiction, he said, be a peaceful warrior. Don't fight those thoughts. Don't be frustrated that you're tempted. That's normal. That's your limbic brain helping you stay alive. So just realize that and go, oh, thanks, brain, but I'm good. That thought, that's from the limbic brain. And then become proactive rather than reactive. Instead of saying, I'm so sick of being fat, I'm so sick of being tired, what do you really want to create in your life? And run towards those positive goals. Say, I want energy. I want to be able to run a mile in under 8 minutes. Holy cow, I could never do that. That would just about kill me. Or whatever it is, those positive goals that you really want to run towards. That's better than running away from what you don't want. Okay, Kat, take it away, girl.
Hi, I'm excited to be here tonight. This is one of my favorite topics. And it's coming up on 4 years here this summer. I started a diet, is what I thought. And I started the program with Amber as my coach, actually. And then probably about 2.5 weeks into the program, I realized I never want to diet again because it has the word die in it. And that's how I feel when I'm dieting. I'm going to die. And I started noticing these changes with my mind, and this relationship I had with food was changing. And over the last 3.5 years, I've become very intimately familiar with my limbic brain. And it is very strong. And as I've continued along this path, there's certain things that come, we're in our grooves. And I love that analogy because we get in a groove and then life happens, and that's the storm Steph was talking about. And I've had storms happen in my life, but I've been able to, stop and just think about what's going on in my life and why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. And then be able to just, decide what ultimately serves me, not my limbic system. It's an it, but what serves me and my family and my brain and my mind and my body and my soul. And it's just been such a great journey. And if you want to go to the next slide, Amber, I can fly through this since we're running out of time. Mindful meditation is kind of a buzzword lately. Dr. Anderson wrote an article back in February, and I want to make sure I get this right, so I'll read it. In a study published in Biological Psychiatry, researchers found that individuals who underwent mindfulness meditation to reduce stress, one of the most powerful triggers for habits of disease like emotional eating, loss of sleep, excessive drinking, exhibited improved brain activity, and 4 months after the study had lower levels of an unhealthy inflammation in their blood samples. these are people who are practicing strengthening their prefrontal cortex. And there's ways to do this. You might think that emotional eating is a coping mechanism. It's actually a learned behavior. This is something that you or someone in your family or behaviors around you, someone has taught you this. You have taught this to yourself. Sugary, unhealthy foods aren't usually far out of reach, and so it's really easy. Like Amber was talking about earlier, going to grab those goldfish. So we need to react proactively. And instead of like running away from the negative all the time, I have my mother-in-law says, oh, I can't do this. I can't follow this, or I was bad. And she'll say, you guys are so good because you eat healthy. And I'm like, no, we all eat food, and none of us are bad because we eat brownies, or good because we eat carrots. We are not our food choices. So react proactively to the stresses you're having and create what's positive. Mental states or physical. When we talk casually, we divide physical and mental into two silos. But really, how we feel and what our mental state determines how we are physically. And I love Napoleon Hill. He has I wake up and I'm healthy and I'm happy. And he doesn't just do it to be cheesy, but he taught this. He's dead now, but he was like, I'm healthy and I'm happy and I'm going to have a great day. And that really gets your energy up. It gets your adrenaline going. It gets positive hormones raging through your body. It's great. And as we feel stress in our lives, hey, it happens to all of us. Those storms, they come in life. They cause stress. It's hard to drive. It's hard to see. There's mud everywhere. It sucks. Stress sucks. But it also causes inflammation. So let's just take some deep breaths, practice our mindfulness, and don't get caught up in the buzzword stuff. This has been the Habits of Health the whole time I've been with Take Shape for Life. Mindfulness meditation has been part of the program, and we've been teaching this. It's so just powerful to be able to take that time for yourself and really strengthen your brain.
I love that, Kat. That is so good. I mean, a lot of times people they might even start hearing what they're saying in their brain, but you really need to strengthen that prefrontal cortex with the things that you talked about and that David talked about too, is the mindfulness and the breathing, meditation. Yep. That actually strengthens that part of your brain that you really want to be in charge more, right? Let's be honest.
I totally agree. And I will catch myself out loud saying, you don't need that. And I think, who am I talking to? Oh, I'm talking to my limbic system.
I love that. I love that. Talk out loud. That doesn't make you crazy, right? It makes you mindful. Totally. I love that. So just to wrap up before we throw it over to the next portion of the next webinar coming up is, who else needs help? We really help us eradicate obesity and get America healthy. And, we need more health coaches participating in the cause. And what better way to surround yourself with more support than to join our coaching community? I didn't even know what I didn't know before I joined as a health coach. I didn't know that I was going to have a sisterhood of people and brotherhood. There's guys too, of course. There's so many people who surround you in this support community and who love you and take you where you are, don't expect you to be perfect, and really want to give you that support just every day. So thanks for joining us. The next challenge starts June 13th, and scholarships are still available to become a health coach. And so make sure that you're talking to who invited you to the challenge. If you really are inspired to pay it forward, we need more people. So if you are curious about health coaching and what that's all about, why don't you just stick around? We're going to pass it over to Steph Golka and Jen Paxman, and they're going to just give us some new coach training and tips, and maybe just check it out and see if it's for you. So thanks so much for being on, everybody.
Thank you.